All right, what's up, YouTube? I just want to pull up on y'all, share a couple of thoughts with you, all, and how I feel about where the election is going. And in 5 days or so, we have a president to be elected, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, and where as a coffee shop owner, I feel like black men are leaning towards. There seems to be on the right side a perspective that there's an overwhelming majority, right, of black men that are supporting Trump. And on the left side, sort of this denial that Trump has any effect on black men and black women simply because of the narratives in the news, right? And so first and foremost, I want to say that as a coffee shop owner who gets to experience 100 or so different people all day long, black, white, rich, poor, brown, I'm sure illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, all day long, what I found is that amongst black men that I talk to, there is a sense that there is a control mechanism and a guilt feeling of stepping outside of the Democratic wing. And it's kind of like, don't tell me what to do syndrome, So it seems as though that idea has convicted black men, black women, white men, all parties to look a little bit more deeper into issues and policies as to why candidates should be supported, right? Looking past whether or not we believe Kamala is a domestic terrorist, right? Or Trump is, a bad person, or whatever the claims are, what do the policies say? And I'll talk about three issues that people aren't willing to go on microphone to talk about, but certainly are willing to talk to a person like me who is open and honest about how he feels and enjoys debate and enjoys topics and discussing these issues publicly, right? Not afraid to take the issues to the town square, so to speak. First of which is illegal immigration. What I found is that as I talk to black men in my community, folks who come from the county and great neighborhoods, and folks who come from the inner city and all in between, there seems to be a consensus reached that the Democratic Party cares more about funneling in folks from out of the country than supporting the folks that are here, right? It's the argument that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm trying to sort of, paraphrase or just sort of summarize what folks have been telling me, at least black men have been telling me about illegal immigration. And I heard a good quote and a good story about how somebody felt the way that they felt regarding illegal immigration. It was like imagining that they had a homeless person or homeless 2 or 3 people on the block, right? So let's assume that that person had a house and he lives on this block and he's got his family. And there's this homeless person who lives on the block, right? And he's known this homeless person for 2 or 3 years, right? The likelihood that that man might allow this homeless person to come into their home when he is in need is fairly high, right? It's maybe not 50%, but it's certainly not 0%. He might know him. He might feel the need to help out. He might know the kids, right? But once you allow 10, 20, 30 folks on that block that are now homeless, right, to then infiltrate this person's home, we don't know, right, who in fact those people are. And so there's no background checks on them. They might try to do something to our kids. They might try to take something from us. And the honest to God truth is, it doesn't matter if there's one person out of the bunch or 40 people out of that bunch. We're not willing to take that risk, right? So there seems to be a consensus around that, at least with the folks who are willing to be honest with me, right, about illegal immigration, that it doesn't seem like we're taking care of home first. It's not about choosing whether or not a black or brown person from another country should come here, because I think everybody believes in immigration, right? But it is about knowing who's here, not allowing the country to be overwhelmed, right? Not allowing your house to be overwhelmed with folks that you don't know, because it's not prudent, right? It's not safe, right? There's a safety concern, right? There's a second part to that, and that's an economic concern, right? So you have these economic parts that doesn't necessarily match up with, how you doing? All right, I'm just talking nonsense. Yeah, so the economic piece is a little more, I think, hard hitting, right? So you've got underfunded schools, you've got underperforming schools, you have unsafe neighborhoods, right? You have high taxes, you have a lack of tax base in some areas. Yes, buddy.
Are you done talking?
Nope. Give me a second, okay? All right. And essentially it's a supply and demand game. So the heart is there, right? The emotions are there. Folks, I haven't talked to anybody that said if they were out of this country and they were on sort of a refugee, just escaping, poverty, they would come as well. But the system itself is not functioning in a manner that will allow for at least a reduced amount of migration when it comes to, let's say, cities like Springfield or Chicago or New York. And hey, buddy, you gotta tone it down, okay? Or you gotta go back inside. Which one you gonna do? Okay, tone it down, champ. Okay, so it's very tough, because I know how the Democratic wing and the liberal ideology works. That to not sound as though you are insensitive to folks' plight, right? But it doesn't make all the economic sense, right? Where you have programs and monies funneled from the tax dollars that are here, right? We're here, my family is here, right? And then funneled away from that family and given to families who are not here. It doesn't make economic sense for the people who are here. It may make us feel good, but the same way in our homes, we cannot allow 2 or 3 homeless people to live with us, because even if we have the funds and means to, essentially at a point, right, you'll get to this place where, oh my goodness, I am now taking food from my family. And then I guess, that leads into the third point of this sort of equity argument, whether or not, we should be cleaning up America's bad actions, right? So America has these bad actions that cause these problems around the world, right? So I think, at least from my conversations, a lot of people do agree that America's had some bad actions across the world that has contributed to people wanting to fly to America, right? And that's the history of it, right? But it is not in my family's best interest, right? It is not in the folks who are here's best interest to clean up and fix America's bad problems that they contributed to years ago. Because what does that do for me and my family now? I didn't contribute to those bad problems. The vast majority of Black Americans didn't. So why can't we put Black Americans first? The MAGA agenda is Make America Great Again, American exceptionalism. If you take the word America out of it, that's how Black people are raised. We are taught that we are exceptional, that we are the greatest. But somehow when we compute, or when we translate that into an American citizen and take away Black, it's almost as if it's disrespectful to believe that we are exceptional, right? We are here today. My son is here today. I need to put food in his mouth, right? I need to clean up my house and make my house great before I can make another house great. And so I think that's the last piece that I add with regard to illegal immigration.